Hello friends, fiends, freaks, weirdos, everyone else who comes to visit me, my streams, my videos, what have you. My camera's crooked. I cannot abide by crooked camera. So, figured I'd stream this today. Don't know why. But, this is my situation. This is my 1995 Superior Cadillac Fleetwood hearse, and the naming conventions vary from person to person. It's tradition to call them by their coach builder name, which is Superior, and I forget which model of Superior it is, but this is a 1995 Cadillac Fleetwood that has been professionally cut, lengthened, raised. The interior has been redone. It's a hearse, is what I'm saying. It's my hearse, and I'm very fond of this car. And I will give you a pre-warning on this stream, whether you watch it now or whether you're watching it later. It's windy out. So while it's a nice warm day for me, considering that it's the beginning of December, I'm pretty sure it's the beginning of December, I've lost track. Work. Actually, lack of work is the reason, but I'll explain that in a different stream. As I mentioned, it's a windy day, and the stand for my camera came from Walmart. Actually, it's not even a stand, it's a ring light that's made to hold the phone. And I'm not using the light on it because that's worthless, because it would absolutely make sense to buy a ring light and have it not work worth a shit as a ring light. Makes an okay stand though, except as previously mentioned in the wind. So while I'm working on the car, you're going to get motion sick, and we're going to see if we can fix this. So what the situation is with the Caddy right now is a problem that I had right when I got it. Except that right when I got it, that first winter, my heat in the car was a little weak. And by a little weak, I mean it was lukewarm. It would keep me from freezing to death, but it wasn't great. And I ended up pulling the hoses off the heater core and flushing it out with water, topping it off with antifreeze, and got it blowing hot air. It wasn't blowing a lot of hot air because there's another problem in the box under the dash that diverts the air from the dashboard to the vents on the front to the footwell. But that's an issue for another day. The problem here is now I'm getting nothing but cold air, which means the heater core is completely plugged. So one of two things is going to happen, and that is either I will A, take the hoses off, flush the heater core, get water going through it, and be able to get hot water back into the cabin so that I have heat when it's not a 60-degree day, which is much more often these days. Or it's completely plugged and I'll have to go get a new heater core. I'll have to go get a new heater core, which is about half an hour away. So we will basically A, fix it, or B, not fix it. And that's how it works. Nice thing about this job is it doesn't require a lot of tools. It doesn't take a lot of time. Just some pain in the ass and some patience. What I'm going to do is disconnect the heater hoses from the water pump so I can push water through the hoses, make sure that I don't have a blocked hose, because it doesn't do me any good to clear the heater core if the hoses are blocked. And if I get water going through that way, then we're golden. If we're not, either way, we'll end up ending a stream. I will drive a half an hour, get a new heater core, come back and tear apart underneath the dashboard. And I may have picked the wrong day to do this, the streaming part, not the working on the car part, because it's beautiful outside actually, other than the wind. So let's see what I got set up here. Get down there. So I've already prepped the car. I've got some plastic over the belts and some other things in the engine compartment. So as I dump antifreeze, it doesn't make my belt squeal or ruin any electronics. I've got a bucket underneath the car to catch. I really don't like the height of this. I've got a bucket underneath the car to catch any antifreeze that drips, because there will be. This stand is going to blow over. Maybe if I turn it sideways to the wind, maybe that'll help. We'll see. Yeah, we'll put a leg opposite the direction of the wind so it supports it a little better. Son of a bitch. So there's a bucket underneath the car to catch light ready. I've got a garden hose ready. I was really happy. I found something I could put on the end of the garden hose so I could control the water from the end of the hose and not from the side of the house. I think I've got all the tools, or any tools that I'll need. Really, this should be a short stream. If not, like I said, we'll be back on later, putting in a heater core. We're going to put in the thing that makes my feet not freeze in the car. Oh, and if you are watching this right now, I'll be moving the camera around periodically and probably checking the chat. I probably won't be chatting a ton because car priority and stuff like that. Yeah. Dead. Oh, there it is. Okay, I guess it's I guess the hood light is kind of like the door lights. After it sits for a while, it shuts off. At least it's winter and the ants aren't out, so I don't have to worry about setting my drink on the ground. Get this over here. See if I can get this close enough to see what I'm doing, for you to see what I'm doing. So what I've got is the heater core is on the sideways goddamn phone. Unacceptable. Okay, try this again. So the heater core on this car is on the inside of the firewall, right down here, well, where these two hoses go. Actually, I might be able to disconnect those hoses there. No, that's not what we're going to do. So, that looks blue. It's supposed to be orange coolant. Yeah, I don't know why it looks blue. Hopefully nobody put window wash in there. So anyway, I've got the two hoses that go through the firewall. They connect up there. They come down here, and they connect to two other hoses right here, which is a more convenient place to disconnect them. And on second thought, is probably the better place to disconnect them, because otherwise I'm going to run out all of the coolant, well, everywhere. No, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to have to disconnect them down here, because otherwise when I try to test the connection, or try to test the hoses, I'm going to be blowing coolant up into the reservoir. Yep, that's where that hose goes. I'll be blowing coolant up into the reservoir. I don't have any way to plug that. I don't think I have any way to plug that. I might be able to plug that. Okay, so I'm going to have to replace my bucket. No. I'll just have to drain this out to get more coolant in it after I flush, because that hose goes from the water pump over here to the reservoir and then the heater core, and then the heater core comes back, and as far as I can tell only goes back to the water pump. So I'll just have to drain the reservoir because I don't want hose water in the coolant if I can avoid it. I'm just going to use the hose water to flush it. Come to think of it, I probably should have gotten another bottle of distilled water. Also, I might need a new belt. It's in good shape, but oh no, it's got grooves from the, I don't know what that is. It's got grooves from one of the pulleys. Pulley's got grooves, so okay, it's fine. No cracks, no chips. Belt's in really good shape. Yeah, I might just end up low on coolant and have to go get some more. That's fine. Oh, speaking of which, make sure I've got my coolant and my water out of the car. Got them handy. Oh, I do not want to make this mess. I really do not want to make this mess. And I am going to lose a lot of antifreeze. One way or the other. I'm trying to think of something that I could stuff in the hoses. I wonder if I could stuff saran wrap in there and keep it from like leaking really, really bad. Let's try that. The coolant in the reservoir is still warm, so I know the coolant is getting through that hose. The only two hoses I have to worry about are the hoses to the heater core. So we're going to try that from over here. Oh, probably wouldn't hurt to clean the battery terminals sometime. Ow. Also, don't cut yourself on the stupid fucking knife on the saran wrap. Somebody has used my saran wrap and not unrolled it correctly. That's annoying. Don't want that in the engine compartment. Melting plastic, that would be... Oh, fucking come on, dude! I should be the only person who ever uses the saran wrap. It shouldn't be fucking wadded up. I'm gonna beat somebody for this. Whoever tied my fucking saran wrap in a knot is gonna die. I swear. How does that even happen like that? Oh, I'm gonna beat somebody. Do not tie my saran wrap in a fucking knot. This is stupid. I'm gonna waste so much saran wrap just trying to get this untangled. This shit's not cheap. My day. Okay. I think stick that in my pocket. Get another wad. Maybe we can stuff that in the end of that fitting and not lose every ounce of antifreeze in the car. got anybody to take me to the parts store until later. I don't like that location at all. That's just gonna dump. It's just gonna dump everywhere is what it's gonna do. Oh, I know what my squeaky noise is now too. Got some really worn bushings in the front suspension. Wonder how I missed that. I really didn't want to know that. I don't know if I can get to that clip. I am not the correctly handed for this. Anything. I need to get rid of this shit on my belt so that I'm not scratching the hell out of the car. That's not where I want that, but that'll work. And that's not laced up across the battery terminals. Well, they're on the side posts. Are you going to be able to see what I'm doing? No, probably not. That's okay. What is this witchcraft? Kind of clips are kind of hard to get at the parts stores. Make sure we don't have any pressure left. Nope. I wish I could loosen that. Then I could hold the hoses up. Mount without so much fabrics. There's all kinds of stuff running through there. And I haven't got a clue. Oh, it's got a screw in it that I can't get to. I'd have to take this off. Yeah, it'd just be a mess. We're not going to mess with that. We're just going to make our mess over here and call it good. And we need to move our pan over to catch our antifreeze. I've got it in the wrong place now. Oh, I can also take the trash bag out of here. Don't need that. And hopefully that'll catch most of it. Also want to be careful not to spray too much because the alternator's right there. There is surprisingly not much antifreeze in there, which makes sense if it's blocked, because it's not going to run antifreeze through if you can't push it. So that makes that part of the job easy. That means less spilled antifreeze, right? That up there, then that's nice. Okay, so we can use our plugs just in case. And then if they get loose, they won't do too bad. Put this other one. It doesn't need it. It's not running any antifreeze out at all. Which is starting to make me wonder about the state of my antifreeze. My overflow, my fill bucket, has plenty of antifreeze in it. Alright, that was surprisingly helpful. Now we'll get the garden hose, start running some water through. Oh, there it went. There was most certainly 100% a clog in that line. Well, there is most definitely water going through the heater core now. Ladies and gents, I may have massively lucked out. I'm going to say that the last time I topped off my coolant, I just used distilled water. So I'm probably in excess on distilled water and low on actual antifreeze. So I don't feel bad about using some of my distilled water to flush this. I'm going to shoot some more garden hose through it again, just in case. I'm feeling a little paranoid. Threw my garden hose in the yard, make sure there's no dirt on the end of it, throw down there and that. Real keen about throwing all this water on my alternator. I mean, it's an automobile and they do get wet. That would be funny. Might be the first time I've ever used a funnel for water in my car. Works. Alright, so let's get us connected back up as soon as I drop in the engine. That would be a lighter. Probably not a good idea to have a lighter in the engine. pliers in a good spot to bring those clamps back down without touching anything electrical, because the alternator is right there. Oh, and it's, God, it turned the wrong direction. I'm never gonna get that. Big car, big engine bay. This is killing my back. Oh, I got it. Right where it's supposed to be. All right, next. This guy right here. Need to flush the coolant really bad. I can tell it's pretty crusty. That would probably save me a lot of trouble down the road with this particular kind of issue. That is not the right place. We're going to put it right back where it was. All right, so first things first, clear the engine of crap. Clamp, that's the only thing I undid. That's back on. Tools, no tools. Let me move this back and then we'll move light out of the way. And actually we'll leave. I got a flashlight. To look for leaks. Look for looks. Not that I ever turned the flash. Oh, I did turn that light on. Huh. Didn't think so. Move the garden hose out of the way. Shut off the water. Bag out. And then take the pan out from underneath of it. If I can. Honestly, that's not bad. Probably less than half a gallon, but I definitely need to flush the coolant system. First, I got to be able to get it somewhere, and I may have a hole in my bucket. Might have a hole in that tote because somehow I still got antifreeze on the ground. Let's start it over, see what happens. There's a little bit of belt squeal. I wasn't perfectly tidy. Go ahead and turn the heat on so it's circulating in the heater core. So for my trip earlier to go get antifreeze, so I had some refill when I got done with this. The coolant was still warm. And I just turned the heat on and it's already blowing warm air. But I am going to need to top off the antifreeze and bleed the air out. In fact, I should do that right now. obviously it's not even a half a gallon low just from that, but it's going to fill up the heater core now that it's not locked, and I wouldn't expect that to be more than a half a gallon. But you know what, we'll just run it. And now I just have to remember where the bleeder screw is so that I can bleed the air out of the water, because it will have air in the water now, and you don't want that. Okay, easy peasy. It's a flathead screwdriver. It's right there on the top of the thermostat housing. That compressor's kicking in a lot. So this is the bleeder valve right here. And I'm not sure, I think it's supposed to be hot before you do this, but definitely air coming out now. I'm not really sure why the compressor keeps kicking on and off. Whoa! Oh, I dropped my lighter again probably. Oh, sunglasses. Heard a bang. My sunglasses fell out of my pocket. So while it's sitting here doing its thing, let's see who we've got going here. Well, hello, Vixen Peach. How the hell are you? I'm Pastor Van, and I'm working on the hearse today. I'm assuming you're in chat anyway. I had a new person follow me last night after we talked on Discord, but this says you followed me today, so I'm guessing you're my one viewer. So, this is something that I've been putting off for a month or so since I discovered that it was no longer blowing hot air. And I put it off because my excuse is that it's cold out, and it is. And I think that's a valid excuse. But I'm glad we had a nice day, and I'm glad I came out and did this. This could have been a much bigger project. It still could be, if for some reason I'm still not getting heat through the HVAC in the cab. I could still need to replace the heater core. But I'll be perfectly honest with you, this is one of those things on an automobile that a person with a couple of basic tools and a little bit of time could do themselves. Now, if you're not a mechanic or you're not mechanically inclined, it doesn't hurt to have instructions. And the nice thing about the internet these days is you can get on Google and search for X problem with X car with Y car, and you're probably going to find a solution. Sometimes, if you're really unlucky, your camera stand falls over, and also you find 20 solutions on Google instead of one or two. Heater hoses are getting warm. Yes. Hell yes. Okay, so there's a heater, there's a hose from the water system into the heater core and one out. And one of the things that happened the first time I did this, right after I got the car, when I wasn't getting heat, was you could grab one hose, which the bottom hose is the in, and it was hot. And you could grab the top hose, and it was basically not warm much at all. It's going to get a little warm just by virtue of being in the engine compartment, but really it needs to be warm, at least very warm to the touch, because it's not pulling that much heat out through the heater core. But just now, checking the heater core hoses, I'm very happy, very un-goth-like happy, because one hose is very warm and the other hose is fucking hot. So I'm going to go stick my head in the car, put my hand down by the floor, and see if I've got hot air. Alright, I'm getting lukewarm air in the heater. But I know water's going through the heater core because it's hot. Although I am disturbingly concerned about the lack of air in the coolant. So, in theory, the way the coolant system on this works, the overflow for the cooling system goes from the top of the engine over to the coolant box. There is no radiator cap on the radiator, so that's not how you fill it. You fill it through the overflow box. But that overflow tube from the top of the engine goes to the top of the overflow. And then there's a hose that comes out the bottom of that and goes back down into the cooling system. So in theory, if you get air in your cooling system, it bleeds out through that top hose and into the overflow. Consequently, if your engine gets overheated, very hot or overheated, and you get too much steam or coolant in your cooling system, it'll overflow into that and it'll recycle it. It'll eventually go back into the engine. It's definitely heat in the overfill. And I'm not going to check it for pressure. Well, so the verdict is, I can't say that it doesn't need a new heater core, and it definitely needs flushed. But while I wasn't certain from the heat coming out of the floor, which was warm, but I mean it's almost 60 degrees out, it's hard to tell. The air coming out of the register should be 70, 75 degrees maybe. I did turn the defrost on, and that blew some fairly warm air out the top of the dash. And sorry, I turned on the defog. Then I turned on the defroster, and the defroster blew some nice, sweet, hot air. So, worst case scenario, if I'm out and about and it's cold, I can turn on the defroster. It'll run the air conditioner compressor. It'll eat some gas mileage. Not that I get a lot of that anyway, but it'll keep me warm. So that means today we've been successful, and the next time it happens, I'll just buy a heater core and replace it and flush it and all that. And I'm just kind of curious. I wonder how much coolant it's supposed to have. It may not take a lot of coolant to flush and fill it. Let's find out. And this is the part where I remember that unlike every other car I've ever had, I do not actually have a Cadillac book for this Cadillac. So I'll have to Google it. But I can't do that right now because the phone's on Twitch. But in the meantime, hey, I'm up to 41 followers. Fantastic. That means 51 followers. And I say 51 because I could always lose one at any moment. I'm sure it could happen. It's possible. 51 followers. I buy an Alice costume off Amazon, and I stream Alice Madness Returns as Alice. That should be fun. What could go wrong? So, since this is all wrapped up, nothing's leaking and everything appears to be working. We'll end the stream. And since the wind doesn't want to cooperate, that's a perfectly good time. Maybe I'll check my transmission fluid while the engine's hot. Peace, everyone. Remember Pastor Van's words of wisdom from the pulpit. Don't be an asshole. Don't be a bully. And make sure you check the air in your tires and the fluids in your vehicle on a regular basis. Your car will thank you, and it will last much, much longer.